Brian, tornado on the ground. Tornado on the ground. Tornado on the ground. Marnie. Brian, I have power flashes. I have power flashes. Turner, this is going to be right out the right side a little bit at 2 o'clock. Power flashes. This is a tornado on the ground south of Green Valley, moving toward Oak Grove.
Many people in the Midwest are waking up to extensive damage from dozens of tornadoes. Rain flooded roads and strong winds and sent debris flying. The dangerous gusts flattened buildings and toppled trees. More than a dozen people were hurt. At least 29 possible tornadoes were reported in Kansas, Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. Stephanie Kaiser of our affiliate KCTV is near Kansas City at the Johnson County Executive Airport. Stephanie, good morning.
Good morning. This airport was hit hard by the storm. It damaged several planes, smashed the windows of nearly 20 cars, and chipped the paint. And it forced officials to work overnight to clear the runway and fix a gas leak. Fierce winds, rain, and tornadoes tore through the Midwest overnight. In Oak Grove, Missouri, east of Kansas City, tornadoes ripped doors off their hinges and sliced roofs clean off their walls. At least 10 people suffered minor injuries. To the north, winds up to 50 miles per hour sent debris flying, smashing in garage doors, shattering windows, and downing power lines. Matt Pinkerton hid in his basement.
Just like bang, bang, and we got a couple of the boards that actually went through the wall of the house. It was pretty scary.
The storm flipped over planes, damaged hangars, and smashed car windows at the Executive Airport in Johnson County, Kansas.
Wow, look at the dark on that side.
In Minnesota, a tornado touched down north of Minneapolis, damaging homes and knocking out power to thousands. And it wasn't just the rain and winds that caused problems.
There goes my car, bro.
The storm also dropped hail the size of golf balls across the region.
A deadly haze is the cost consequence the UK capital suffers in its role as Britain's paramount political and financial centre. It's here, down at ground level, that people pay the price. A King's College study found more than 9,000 people in London die prematurely every year due to air pollution. According to Client Earth, an environmental lobby group, London's air often breaches international law.
Air pollution is impacting on our lives throughout our lifetime. So from when we're in the womb, it can cause premature births. As we're growing up, children are growing up with smaller lung capacity, which is going to affect their health into adulthood. And then as we're adults and older people, there's an increased risk of developing things like cancer and also the problems with respiratory and heart conditions.
According to figures from City Hall, toxic air at more than 400 schools across the capital exceeds legal limits. And the cause of what's described as London's air pollution crisis? In large part, drivers and their vehicles on the capital's congested roads. The boss of a local firm making protective masks says London traffic is never ending.
Well, of course, London's a medieval city with a 21st century traffic challenge, and they've done a lot of work in terms of having cycle schemes and congestion charges here. But as you can see today, even in the middle of the day, it's still very congested right here in the city centre.
London Mayor Sadiq Khan is to impose a $15 penalty on polluting vehicles, what they're calling a toxicity charge. It'll raise an estimated $3 million a month, but even Sadiq Khan admits it won't be enough. He's calling for new clean air laws.
In one respect, London is a victim of its own commercial and economic success. The challenge facing the government is for how long it'll put the economy before the health and lives of Londoners. Richard Bestick, CGTN, London.
A flash flood warning for Maui has expired, but the wet weather is not over yet. The Kona side of the Big Island is getting hit with rain now, and Maui could see a repeat tomorrow.
I'm told 7 people had to be rescued this afternoon because of the heavy flooding. Fortunately, everyone is okay, but it did make for some scary moments. Firefighters say several cars got stranded in floodwaters on South Kihei Road, and 4 people were found stranded on a bridge. One woman also called for help, saying she was about to be swept away in her car. Fortunately, Good Samaritans helped to get her to a safe place. A Kihei resident we spoke with says all of the rain from the mountains triggered a flash flood behind her home.
It is kind of wild. It's like I said, it wasn't even raining. We have gray skies, but it's not even raining. And I just kind of heard it first. And like I said, maybe 3-4 times a year this happens in the gulch behind our house. And this is a big one. We've only ever seen it this full and this wild. In 2005, there was a huge flood where it wiped out houses up in Kula. It wiped out the highway up in Kula. This is as big as that one.
And all of South Kihei Road reopened a little more than an hour ago after floodwaters receded, but continue to drive with caution. And again, Maui could see more rain tomorrow. Alexander Zanes, KHON 2 News.
We wanted to update you on the very important weather story of Tropical Cyclone Inawo. You can see some of these images that have been coming in from Madagascar. Very intense wind, very intense rain. It has come ashore, making its official landfall around 11 a.m. local time on Tuesday, so that's local time there. Now, it turned out that this thing really overachieved. It was the island's strongest landfall in 13 years, 145 mile per hour sustained winds at the time of landfall, equal to a Cat 4. You can see the winds have come down a bit, but it's the rain that still is the huge concern, especially for where it is striking across northeastern Madagascar. So it's weakening, and it'll continue to weaken as it interacts with the terrain, but again, they are really taking a lashing. Certainly a lot of rainfall, power outages that could last for days, possibly longer. Here is a look at the rainfall amounts that are anticipated. So we've still got a ways to go with this storm. Some locations anticipated to pick up more than 1.5 feet of rainfall.
For the second time in a week, the David Posnack Jewish Day School is evacuated due to a bomb threat. The story developing right now in Davie. The school evacuated as soon as it received the bomb threat a couple of hours ago.
And the on-site Jewish Community Center is on lockdown as well. CBS 4's Kerry Cott is there live for us with the latest developments. Kerry.
Yes, we just got an update from Davie Police. They told us that they searched the grounds here. No bomb was found and all clear was given, and the students will be coming back to school here. But for the second time in just 8 days, parents received a disturbing text message about a bomb threat at the Posnack school. And just like last week, as Davie Police swept the school campus, parents are searching for answers and praying that their kids are okay. Now take a look at this video from Chopper 4 this morning. The Posnack school was evacuated. The JCC on the same campus was placed on lockdown. We're told there was a non-specific threat called in sometime this morning, and that the person who called in disguised their voice, but did have some sort of interaction on the phone with a school employee. A second text that went out shortly after the first one around 10:30 said that all children were safe and urged parents to avoid coming to the campus. Now, we are learning there have been threats made at other JCCs and Anti-Defamation League offices across the U.S. today, including in Maryland, Milwaukee, and upstate New York. This has been a pattern across the country and across Florida. In the beginning of this year, parents are frustrated and rightfully upset.
Tensions are escalating between North Korea and Malaysia. Both countries have banned each other's citizens from leaving. This comes amid fallout over the murder of Kim Jong-nam. The North Korean dictator's half-brother was killed by a nerve agent at Kuala Lumpur airport last month. There's growing suspicion Pyongyang ordered the attack. Both North Korea and Malaysia have expelled each other's ambassadors as well.
And the New York Times reports the White House offered to continue federal funding for Planned Parenthood if the group stops providing abortions. Planned Parenthood's president, Cecile Richards, responded yesterday on Twitter saying, quote, "We won't back down in the face of threats or intimidation." Jan Crawford is in Washington with the politics behind the funding battle. Jan, good morning.
Good morning. So, in its media campaigns, Planned Parenthood emphasizes it provides general care and testing for women's health. And it says only about 3% of its work is abortion services. But the organization says it will not stop performing abortions, even if it loses federal funding that makes up about half its annual revenue.
East Asia's stability is hanging in the balance after the U.S. began deployment of a controversial anti-missile system in South Korea. The move came a day after North Korea fired 4 ballistic missiles, breaking international sanctions. The system in question is called THAAD, which is short for Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System. It's capable of intercepting missiles within a range of 200 kilometers, and the first components have already arrived at the U.S. airbase near Seoul. Reports say it could be operational as early as April. Though the system is designed to prevent threats from North Korea, it's also worried China, as Emily Sue explains.
Both the U.S. and South Korea insist the main aim of THAAD is to deter nuclear and ballistic threats from North Korea. But Beijing is not convinced, and they have good reason not to be. That's because THAAD comes with a powerful radar that has a detection range of 2,000 kilometers, meaning that the system would give South Korea, a U.S. ally, the ability to peer deep into China and potentially extract sensitive military information. Evidence of how angry Beijing is can be found in this editorial published by state-backed China Daily, which compared THAAD's deployment to the Cuban Missile Crisis. And here's what the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said on Tuesday.
China firmly opposes the United States and South Korea deploying the THAAD anti-missile system in South Korea. The United States and South Korea will bear all the consequences arising therefrom.
Nobody knows if China will respond to THAAD militarily, but some experts warn the real danger of THAAD is that it will provoke China to build more advanced weapons and accelerate its development of missile technologies. With China's firm opposition and deteriorating ties with South Korea and the U.S., it looks like THAAD could do more damage than good in the region.
Disney's live-action version of Beauty and the Beast is stirring controversy overseas. Russia considered banning the kids' film because it features a gay character. One lawmaker said the film promotes propaganda of sin.
But instead of banning the film entirely, Russia's culture ministry slapped an adult rating on it. People have to be 16 years old or older to watch it in theaters. There's a theater in Alabama that sort of did the same thing. They said that they wouldn't run it. But it doesn't come out until, I think it's, what does it say? What did I write down? March 17th.
Oh.
They've already done more than $120 million in pre-sales.
Because people want to see it.
Yeah.
Or they want to make a statement.
Either way, it might actually help them. They're going to do all right.
Well, we start the program with some breaking news. The CIA has lost control of the majority of its hacking arsenal, which could fall into the wrong hands around the world. That's according to the latest revelation from WikiLeaks. Well, for more on this, we can now cross live to our correspondent in London, Polly Boyker. Polly, good to see you. Now, what implications might this report have?
Well, they're calling this leak Vault 7, and they're claiming that this is the largest ever leak of secret CIA files. According to WikiLeaks, the CIA has lost control of the majority of its cyber weapons, this arsenal of cyber weapons that it has. Things like malware, viruses, Trojans, and various remote control systems. So all the tricks that spies use in order to survey their targets. And what WikiLeaks is saying is that the CIA arsenal of these tricks has already been leaked and circulated among former government hackers. And WikiLeaks knows this because one of those former US government hackers has passed on parts of this dossier onto WikiLeaks. The files contain so-called weaponized exploits, so methods for spying on anyone, anywhere, through familiar devices, ones like Apple, Google, and Microsoft phones. Even the iPhone that runs the presidential Twitter account could be subject to these vulnerabilities. And also, in conjunction with MI5, it appears in these files that the CIA has created a special type of malware that can infest Samsung smart TVs, which all have covert microphones that can be turned on through this type of malware.
So WikiLeaks seems to have access to documents that talk about various surveillance programs within various intelligence agencies. A lot of these documents relate to programs about capabilities to hack into simple devices like television sets at home. So it's just a rude awakening for all of us that, as an industry, we have a lot more to do in order to secure our sensitive information, but also for us as consumers to understand the privacy implications of simple things like internet-connected devices. Everybody likes to have a smart TV at home or a baby monitor or cameras at home, but what that could lead to if that technology gets in the wrong hands or if it's not appropriately secured is of serious concern. So there have been public disclosures about everything from cars being hacked to baby monitors being hacked. I think ultimately, as consumers, we've got to be aware of the risks and mindful of where we're purchasing our technology from. I think anything that's connected to the internet is hackable, is something that can be compromised, and ultimately you've got to be mindful of where you want your devices placed inside of your homes, offices, and across your personal life.
Καταστροφή. Μια λέξη. Καταστροφή. Δεν μπορούμε να παράξουμε. Το κόστος παραγωγής είναι υπερβολικά μεγάλο. Δεν μπορούμε να παράξουμε προϊόντα για να μπορεί να είναι ανταγωνιστικά στην αγορά και να τα πάρει ο καταναλωτής.
Firefighters are trying to stop deadly wildfires burning out of control across several states. The governor of Oklahoma declared a state of emergency in 22 counties last night.
The fires have killed at least 6 people and scorched more than 1 million acres. They are burning in parts of Texas, Kansas, parts of Texas, Kansas, Colorado, and Oklahoma, 4 states there. David Begnaud is near Woodward, Oklahoma, with how the weather is fueling the flames. David, good morning.
Gail, good morning. The stench of ash is overwhelming and the cold air is overpowering. It's at 45 degrees right now, but it feels a lot colder than that. The temperature is helping in the firefight. They are raging about 20 miles to the north of us. I wanted to be here to give you the personal perspective because, Gail, as you drive through this rural area this morning, you might not even see a home like this that is burned to the ground. You can't even tell what was left or what was of this home before it burned. The garage, it's still burning. There are embers in the back part of the property which are still burning 24 hours later. The people who have been affected by these fires make their living in agriculture. They produce the food that we eat, and they have been decimated. In fact, there was a 63-year-old lady who had a heart attack and died just trying to get her cattle out of the way. The massive fire has scorched more than 700,000 acres along the Oklahoma-Kansas border. Traditional ground fighting tactics are failing, says Drew Daly with the Oklahoma Forestry Service. The majority of the area burning is rural, but what's making it so hard to contain?
Access is difficult in some of these areas. We have, extreme amount of canyons as well as just heavy grass fuels and dormant brush.
These fires are devastating farming communities in America's heartland.
We have another one trying to spin up right now, a little fire-nado.
3 people died in the Texas Panhandle rescuing cattle at a ranch. They include Cody Crockett and his girlfriend Sydney Wallace, and Sloan Everett, a married father of 2. In Clark County, Kansas, fires forced up to 12,000 people from their homes. More than half the county burned. That's an area about twice the size of Chicago. At least 30 structures were damaged.
We just felt like you'd get out of here alive.
Back in Oklahoma,
My mom and I pulled up to our house last night and there are people on the roof with water hoses.
cattle rancher Jolynn Easterwood says it's too early to know exactly what her family has lost. What would you say to people who say this is just wide open land?
Do you like to eat? Because this is where it comes from. This is the heart of it. This is the cattle that are in the grocery store. This is livelihood. This is people's life that's on fire.